Welcome to Lesson 1 in Unit 3, Make It Go. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, how can we make toys start moving? In this lesson, students are introduced to a Galimoto, a toy fashioned out of recycled materials and wire, as a way to frame the unit. Students use different objects to explore the effect of pushes and pulls. Students figure out that a push and pull are forces that move something away or towards your body. Students are introduced to the phenomenon and make connections to the storyline by figuring out that a Galimoto needs a push and pull to move. There are several opportunities for ELA, math, and social studies cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 3 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 5 to 6 days to complete. To begin the unit and the Lesson 1 Engage, you'll introduce the anchoring phenomenon by reading the book Galimoto. You'll tell students that they will read a story about a boy named Condi, who has to build all of his own toys. Be sure to use the Read Aloud guide as you talk through the story. You can point out to students where Condi lives and post the Galimoto vocabulary card. After reading and showing the pictures in the book, you'll ask students what the problem was in the book and how Condi solves the problem. Be sure to see the noted opportunity to attend to equity should the provided anchoring phenomenon not be compelling for your students. Students will find the anchoring phenomenon more compelling if they can connect to it personally. If you want to change the anchoring phenomenon for your context, keep the following questions in mind. Is it going to be relevant to my students' lives and/or particularly engaging to them? Is it going to motivate students to want to explain how pushes and pulls affect motion, how changing strength or direction affects an object's movement, and how collision affects an object's motion? You'll also ask what students notice about the toys in the book and what they notice about the Galimoto. As students are sharing their observations and questions, you'll provide them with the sentence stem, "Now I'm wondering about," to model how we can use observations to develop questions. Once students have their questions, you'll guide them in creating the class driving question board using the steps provided in the teacher guide. Do not answer questions at this time or correct student thinking. They will explore their questions and explain this anchoring phenomenon throughout the unit. Here are examples of driving question boards from other K-5 units. They depict student questions, some along with a drawn model from the unit. Some driving question boards are simple lists of questions or groups of sticky notes posted on chart paper. Teachers and students can manipulate and move around questions and label them together. For the Explore portion, you'll place students into groups and lead them in the How Things Move investigation. The teacher tutorial slides show the setup and procedure. Students will use the How Toys Move student journal page to record how they moved the objects. For the Explain portion, you'll bring the class together and lead a discussion about students' observations from their investigation. You'll use the provided questions to guide your discussion around the question, how can we make toys start to move? The goal of this class discussion is to analyze student data and identify that pushes and pulls have an effect on the motion of an object. You'll create a class data table so that students can recognize patterns across each group's data. You'll use the discussion to create the Lesson 1 summary chart. By the end of the discussion, students should understand that we will need to use force, a push or a pull, to get our Galimoto to start to move. Adding a diagram or drawing can help with student understanding. During the discussion, you'll show some video clips showing pushes and pulls, and post the push, pull, force, and motion vocabulary cards. You'll also read Sheep in a Jeep. Be sure to use the Read Aloud guide to have students show hand signals for push and pull whenever they see a push or pull in the book in order to create a chart together. For the elaborate portion, you'll show students pictures of Galimotos and ask questions about what they'd add to the Galimotos to make them easier to move. You'll then direct students to the Toy Drawing student journal page and ask them to draw a picture of a toy that reminds them of Candi's Galimoto and circle, color, or label the part of the toy that makes it move. For the evaluate portion, students will do a card sort in groups. Students should explain how they know that the movement motion on the card is a push or a pull. Students will then draw a picture of a push or a pull on the Push-Pull Quick Check student journal page. To support student sense-making across the unit, you'll orient them back to the driving question board. You'll ask, what did we learn about how we can make toys start moving? And what new questions do we have? By the end of this lesson, students will have asked questions based on observations to find more information about Galimotos, and planned and conducted an investigation to explain the effect of pushes and pulls on the motion of an object. In Lesson 2, students will plan and conduct an investigation about what must happen in order to change the direction or speed of an object. For the optional extend, you can review the ways that students used pushes and pulls when exploring the toys and ask if there is any way they could move one of the toys without touching it. You can have students experiment with magnets, strings, and feathers. They can then complete the Motion Challenge student journal page. For more information about this unit, visit mysidepartners.com.